Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Before the title of MLA, who was Shepherd?
Well, I was born and raised here in Edmonton. Grew up on the north side. Uh, Grew up in a very conservative, fundamentalist evangelical. So definitely, I think a lot of the values that I hold are values that I learned, I think, growing up in the church, and sort of have stuck with me since. There's some pretty basic stuff there. I mean, you look out for other people, right? You do unto others, you'd have them do unto you. Look out for the folks that have less than you. You try to help folks where you can. Focus on community and focus really very much on social justice. And I'll be honest, that wasn't entirely what I learned growing up in the church. Okay. But certainly, I reached a point myself in my early 20s where I had some challenges with my mental health and found that there wasn't a whole lot of support for me there in the church community. So that started a process where I started that journey away from it, but it also started another learning process for me where I learned what it's like to kind of be inside and outside. I learned what can happen when you make judgments and presumptions about people instead of trying to understand people where they are. So those are a lot of the fundamental values that have shaped how I've built my life and certainly what drove me into politics.
You've become a part of much needed visibility in the community. What would you say this means to you?
It means a lot to hear that. Really, it does. When I was first elected in 2015, I didn't grow up with much connection to Black communities in Edmonton, or really any at all. Like I said, I grew up in a very fundamentalist, evangelical, very white church culture. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until later in life that I started to sort of really recognize that there was something there. I started to explore a bit more of what it meant to be Black, recognizing that there's a lot of people that look like me that have very different experiences from me. So that sort of started with the Black Lives Matter movement in the U.S. And I started following a lot of Black journalists, activists from the States, just trying to understand things differently. But I didn't really get the chance to connect with Black community in Edmonton until after I was elected in 2015. I got elected and found out I'm only the third Black person elected in the province of Alberta to the Alberta legislature. And that kind of stunned me. So I started getting invited out to events with the African communities, Caribbean communities, different Black communities. And I saw how much it meant to them to see someone that looked like them in a position like mine. So I made a commitment at that point that I would never say no to any event with the African Caribbean community. And when I went in and started going to these events, I tried just to be really open and honest. Just say, you know what? I didn't grow up connected to the culture, to the community. I don't know a lot of folks here. So I don't want to come in telling you that I know. I'm here to listen. I want to learn. I want to understand. I tried to reflect that back. So to be here 10 years later and sort of hear that back from community, how much that's meant to them, that they feel that I've done that I have listened, I have heard, and I've reflected that back, and indeed been able to take action that is meaningful for our communities and provide that representation. And indeed now be joined by two other Black colleagues at the legislature, right? My colleagues Sharif Haji and Rhiannon Hoyle, and to have that Black caucus. Yeah, it feels good. It means a lot.
What would you say keeps you grounded in your work?
My youngest sister, Jennifer, so we're quite close. We share a lot of the same interests in music and art and a lot of different things. We have a very similar worldview, and she's a very intelligent and wise woman. So, talking with her, she gives me a lot of advice. She's been a real big support.
Do you have any podcast recommendations?
Podcast recommendations. Gee, what am I listening to? I listen to this podcast called the No Sleep podcast. So it's like audio horror dramas.
Oh.
So it's actually about really good storytelling. It's a really good, great sound effects and voice work.
Okay, I'll keep my eye for that. Yeah. You've had to claim space in rooms not built for you. What advice would you give those afraid to do the same?
First thing I'd say is know yourself, right? If you want to step into rooms where, it might be a little tough, you're going to have to hold your ground. You're going to have to bring that confidence there and be bold. Best know who you are. So take that time, get to know yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your principles? What are your values? What are the things that are important to you? So when you walk into that room, know who you are. Secondly, when you walk into that room, be prepared. Know what room you're walking into. Who are the people that are likely to be there? What's happening in that space? What have the ideas been? What have the challenges been? Do as much research as you can to be informed. Because that way, when you walk into there, you're going to have a foundation. You're going to know your land. I call this mapping the landscape, right? It's like, imagine, if you could walk into a room, if you know what a room looks like, if you've mapped it out, you could walk into that room blindfolded, you can still tap dance. That's really what it comes down to. Know yourself, know the room, know as much information as you can, and then trust yourself.
Purpose isn't just about title. It's about how we see the world and what we do with that view. Thank you, MLA Shepherd, for joining us today. Any final remarks?
Hey, I just want to wish you guys all the best with Obsidian. Like you said, representation is important. So having the voice of youth, having the voice of our Black youth out there and talking about these issues is incredibly important. So thanks for doing this, and thanks to everyone who's tuning in.